Hey, what's up guys, MKBHD here, back with the fourth and final episode in the Fastest Mac Mini in the World series. So if you like this little project idea, if you want to see more things like it, give this video a thumbs up and I'll definitely try to get out more similar stuff for you. If you missed the first three episodes, bam, they're up there in the corner. They'll open in a new tab so you can hover over them on your desktop and those annotations will take you to the first three episodes so you can see what's been done to this Mac Mini. But I'm not going to hold you up. Let's get right on into this. So if you watched the first three parts of this project, you probably already know the specs of this machine. It's Apple's highest-end 2.7 GHz Intel Core i7 2011 Mac Mini with a user-modified 16 GB of DDR3 RAM and a 240 GB OCZ Vertex 3 Max IOPS Edition SSD. Inside is the same mobile motherboard found in the high-end MacBook Pros and an AMD Radeon HD 6630M graphics card. And on top of all this, it runs macOS 10 10.7 Lion. For the setup, we're going with an Apple wireless keyboard and trackpad, I know, and the Cyborg Rat7 mouse and the FiiO E9 audio amplifier on the right, and a single Dell UltraSharp 2407 WFP 24-inch monitor. You could go with two of these monitors, no problem. You can use the HDMI to DVI adapter and the Thunderbolt to DVI adapter. For a third monitor, for an absolute boss setup like this, you'll need a USB to DVI adapter like this one to drive the third monitor or each additional display if you want to go 4, 5, 6. But we like simplicity, so let's do some serious work with this one display. So now it's benchmarking time. I polled on Twitter asking you guys to reply at MKBHD what I should use to test this little machine, and NovaBench was a very popular answer. It's a free app that tests a very well-rounded bunch of aspects of your machine and comes out with a final score, a final tally for your Mac. And at the link in the description, you can see that the fastest stock Mac Mini from Apple will average roughly 383 points. This Mac Mini got an unusually high 834 points, which puts it on the list right beneath the 2008 Mac Pro and the 2011 iMac. But of course there are more. Some of your tweets also suggested at MKBHD I should choose Cinebench, which tests graphics and CPU performance. For the graphics test here, which was pretty entertaining to watch actually, it goes through this little OpenGL demo sequence here with all sorts of lighting and shadows and physics effects and reflections and things like that. And for the CPU rendering test, there was a good approximation as it renders out these squares here of how well it would work with heavy apps, heavy hitters like Photoshop and After Effects, where lots of rendering is required. It didn't perform great on the CPU test, but of course I am editing this video on the Mac Mini, so if you see this video on YouTube, then I got through it. That means it successfully rendered the video. And it did pretty well also, actually really well on the OpenGL test, scoring a bit below an 8-core, 16-thread, 2.92 GHz Intel Xenon processor, which I can assume is another Mac Pro. But the real showstopper here, the real difference maker in the performance is the OCZ Vertex 3 SSD. This thing flies through macOS 10. It has insane read speeds. I cannot recommend switching to an SSD enough. If you're still on a traditional hard drive, try this out. It's really insane and makes the biggest difference in terms of the user experience. And the time it took me to say that, you just watched the Mac Mini completely shut down and restart. Yeah. Alright, so there's this pretty popular test out there. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called the SSD stress test. SSD owners like to show off by opening up as many apps as possible at the same time. Yep, it's fast. I mean, I don't have a ton of apps installed, but there's no chance in hell your hard drive can do that. Seriously, solid state is the future. So how fast is this SSD exactly? Well, let's run the speed test app to find out. It does a few file transfers, and the write speeds look like they're coming in at around 250 megabytes per second. And then it tests the read speeds. Yeah, holy buns, that is fast. That's like a sprinting person fast, like cheetah fast. That's like Peregrine Falcon fast. This isn't a review of the Mac Mini necessarily, but I can tell you that the 16 gigs of RAM really comes in handy for when I'm video editing, like right now. And so the spec lineup it's really turns down to, it's basically a glorified MacBook Pro. And, you know, does it perform out of this world for this desktop total price? Absolutely. Check it out. Mac Mini, $999. 240 gig OCZ SSD, $480. 16 gigs of RAM for otherworld computing, $250. Surgery supplies for getting all the stuff in there, $30. Total price, $1,759. Having the fastest Mac Mini in the world on the planet for barely more than the slowest 27-inch iMac? Priceless. Now look, I've never really been a full-time Mac OS X person, but I'm giving OS X a shot right now to see if I can get used to it as my daily driver as I wait for Apple to refresh the Mac Pros, hopefully as soon as possible with Ivy Bridge. And I'm honestly going to say that it won't be so hard to get used to this. Right now, it's going pretty well. My favorite feature of OS X Lion so far right now is Mission Control. I just find myself using it a lot more, and as a person who's used to multiple monitors, it's a really great feature. I definitely recommend picking up a trackpad to take advantage of this because the Mighty Mouse, Magic Mouse, they suck, and I don't use any of the other gestures for like Launchpad or anything, just for Mission Control. I think Launchpad is just silly. And I know Mac people are begging to know what's in your dock. Well, again, I'm new to OS X, so nothing fancy just yet, nothing freaky going on in here. Well, yeah, guys, there you have it. It is officially official. This is the new MKBHD desktop. But don't freak out, PC people. Don't lose it. Windows isn't going anywhere. Peace, guys.